I'm standing in my kitchen at 6:47 a.m., holding a note that was just slid under my door. It's written in the same handwriting I've seen for 5 years. The same mysterious notes that have been appearing at my doorstep since my daughter was born. Notes I've collected, analyzed, reported to police, and obsessed over. But this one is different. This one doesn't just watch from the shadows. This one makes a claim that's about to blow my entire life apart. It says, "I'm your daughter's real father. Your wife knows. Ask her about the clinic. Ask her about March 2019. Ask her why she chose you, the donor." My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold the paper. Because March 2019 is when my wife got pregnant. And the clinic can only mean one thing. The fertility clinic we went to when we couldn't conceive naturally. But we agreed on anonymous donation. We agreed we'd never know who the donor was. That's what my wife told me. Except someone knows who he is. Someone's been watching my daughter since birth. Someone's been leaving notes describing her first steps, her first words, her first day of school. And that someone just claimed to be her biological father. I walk to the bedroom where my wife is still sleeping. I drop the note on her chest. "Sarah, wake up." She opens her eyes, sees the note, reads the first line, and faints, literally passes out cold, still in bed. When she comes to 30 seconds later, she's hyperventilating, crying, saying, "I can explain, I can explain, I can explain." But she can't explain. Because what she's about to tell me is so much worse than I ever imagined. If you've ever trusted someone completely only to discover they've been lying to your face for years, if you've ever had your entire reality shattered by a single piece of paper, or if you want to know what happens when a secret 5 years in the making finally explodes, hit that subscribe button and share this video right now. Because this story will make you question everything you think you know about trust, fertility, and the lies people tell when they're desperate for something they can't have. This is the story of how anonymous notes destroyed my marriage, exposed a conspiracy that went back 5 years, and revealed that my daughter's existence was based on a lie my wife orchestrated before I even knew I couldn't have children. Let me take you back to where this started. 5 years ago, the day my daughter was born. My name is David Mitchell. I'm 38 years old. And until about 20 minutes ago, I thought I knew my wife. Sarah and I met when we were 26, got married at 29, started trying for kids at 31. Nothing happened. Month after month after month. Negative pregnancy tests, disappointment, tears, frustration. After 2 years of trying, we went to a fertility specialist. That's when we found out I had severe male factor infertility, low sperm count, poor motility. The doctor said natural conception was extremely unlikely. I remember that appointment like it was yesterday. Sitting in that sterile office, listening to the doctor explain that my body couldn't do the one thing I wanted most, give my wife a child. Sarah held my hand, told me it didn't matter, that we had options. The doctor recommended IVF with donor sperm, said it was common, safe, highly successful. The donor would be completely anonymous, the doctor explained. You'd never know who he is. He'd never know who you are. Legally, David would be the father in every way. Sarah looked at me. "What do you think?" I was devastated. My masculinity felt shattered. But I wanted Sarah to be happy. I wanted us to have a family. "If that's what you want," I said, "then let's do it." We signed the papers that day, started the process within a month. Sarah got pregnant on the second IVF attempt, March 2019. I was overjoyed, terrified, insecure, but mostly overjoyed. "We're having a baby," Sarah said, crying happy tears. "You're going to be a daddy." Our daughter Emma was born in November 2019. And the moment I held her, every insecurity vanished. She was mine. Biology didn't matter. I was her father. Everything was perfect. Until 3 days after we brought Emma home from the hospital. I opened the front door to grab the mail, and there was a note on the doormat. Handwritten. No envelope. Just folded paper. It said, "Congratulations on the birth of your daughter. She's beautiful. I hope she has a wonderful life. Someone who cares. I showed Sarah. Did you tell people we were home? Just our families, she said. Why? Someone left a note. Says congratulations on our daughter. Sarah read it. Her face went pale for just a second. Then she smiled. Probably one of the neighbors. That's sweet. I shrugged it off. We lived in a friendly neighborhood. Made sense. But 2 weeks later, another note appeared. She has your wife's eyes. I can tell already. I hope she gets her strength too. That one felt more personal, more observant. Sarah, someone's been watching the house. What? No. It's probably just Mrs. Chen next door. She's always looking out her window. Mrs. Chen is 85 and barely leaves her house. She didn't write this. Then who? I don't know. But it's weird. Sarah agreed it was weird. But not weird enough to worry about. Just a overly friendly neighbor or family friend being cryptic. The notes kept coming. Once a month. Sometimes twice. She smiled today. I saw it through the window. My heart almost stopped. I hope you're reading to her. Children who are read to early develop better language skills. She's 3 months old today. Time moves so fast. I wish I could hold her just once. That last one, I wish I could hold her. That's when I really started to worry. This isn't normal, I told Sarah. This is someone who's obsessed with our daughter. Or someone who just cares, Sarah said. But her voice was tight, defensive. Cares? They're watching our house. They know what she looks like. They're tracking her development. This is stalking. Should we call the police? And tell them what? Someone's leaving nice notes? They'll think we're paranoid. But I wasn't paranoid. I was right. By Emma's first birthday, I'd received 43 notes. I kept them all in a locked drawer in my office. Analyzed them. Looked for patterns. The handwriting was always the same. Male, I assumed, based on the style. Educated, no spelling errors, good grammar. The content was always about Emma. Her development. Her milestones. Things only someone watching closely would know. She took her first steps last week. I saw it happen. You must have been so proud. How did he know that? We hadn't posted it on social media. He was watching, regularly. I installed more security cameras, motion sensor lights, a Ring doorbell. But he was smart. The notes appeared when the cameras were offline for updates, or they were slid under the door from an angle the camera couldn't see, or they appeared when we were gone, tucked into the mailbox. I never caught him on camera. Not once. Sarah became increasingly anxious, jumpy. She'd check the windows constantly, lock the doors twice, wake up in the middle of the night, and check on Emma. We should move, she said one night. Move? Because of notes? What if he escalates? What if he's not content just watching? If we move, he'll just find us again. He's been doing this for a year. He's dedicated. Then, what do? We wait. Eventually, he'll slip up. Make a mistake. And when he does, I'll be ready. But he never slipped up. Year 2, Year 3, Year 4. The notes kept coming. And I never saw him once. And then, Emma's 5th birthday, the notes changed. She's 5 years old today. 5 years since I made the decision that gave her life. 5 years since I signed those papers at the clinic. I wonder if you know the truth yet. I read that note 10 times. Made the decision that gave her life. Signed those papers at the clinic. The clinic. Our fertility clinic. My stomach dropped. I showed Sarah. What does this mean? What truth? Sarah's face went completely white. I don't know. Yes, you do. Look at me, Sarah. What is he talking about? I don't know. But she was lying. I could see it in her eyes. She knew exactly what he was talking about. The notes kept coming. More specific, more direct. Did they tell you the donor would be anonymous? Did they promise you'd never know who I was? Your wife made sure I was chosen. She had very specific requirements. Did she tell you that? I've been watching my daughter grow up through windows and security gaps. Don't I deserve to know her? My daughter. He called her, my daughter. This wasn't a random stalker. This was the sperm donor, the biological father. But donors were supposed to be anonymous, legally anonymous. It was impossible for him to know who we were, unless someone told him. I confronted Sarah again. The notes are from the donor, aren't they? I don't know. Don't lie to me. He said you made sure he was chosen. He said you had specific requirements. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Then why won't you look at me? She finally looked up, and she was crying. Because if I tell you the truth, you'll leave me. Try me. Long pause. The donor wasn't anonymous. The world stopped. What? He wasn't anonymous. I chose him specifically. I knew who he was. That's impossible, the clinic said. The clinic lied. Or I lied. Or both. I don't know. I needed you to think it was anonymous because otherwise you'd ask questions. What questions? Who is he? She closed her eyes. Someone I used to know. My blood went cold. You used someone you knew as our sperm donor? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Sarah? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you got pregnant with another man's child and convinced me it was through an anonymous donor, so I wouldn't ask who he was. I didn't get pregnant with him. I got pregnant through IVF. You were there for the procedures. But you chose him. You knew who the biological father would be. Because I trusted him. Because I knew his medical history. Because I knew he was healthy and smart and what? You loved him? Silence. Oh my God. You loved him. It was a long time ago, David, before I met you. But you chose him to father your child instead of using an actual anonymous donor. Because I wanted Emma to come from someone I trusted. Or because you wanted a piece of him, even though you married me. She didn't deny it. I spent the next 3 days going through every note, reading them differently. She has your wife's eyes. He knew Sarah, personally. I hope she gets her strength too. He knew Sarah's personality, intimately. Your wife made sure I was chosen. He was complicit. He knew Sarah was using him as the donor. I've been watching my daughter grow up. He never agreed to be anonymous. He expected to be part of Emma's life. This wasn't a stalker. This was a biological father who'd been cut out of his daughter's life, who'd been lied to, who'd been watching from the shadows, because he had no legal right to be closer. And my wife had orchestrated all of it. I called the fertility clinic, asked to speak to the director. I need information about our donor, from 2019. I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, but donor information is confidential. Even if the donor is contacting us, pause. Is the donor contacting you? For 5 years. He's been leaving notes. He knows our address. He knows our daughter. That should be impossible. Unless someone gave him our information. Another pause. I need to look into this. I'll call you back. She called back 2 hours later. Mr. Mitchell, I've reviewed your file. There's a discrepancy. What kind of discrepancy? The donor consent forms were irregular. It appears the donor may not have signed the standard anonymous agreement. What does that mean? It means he may have been promised contact, or at least information about any resulting children. That's not what we were told. I understand. This is highly unusual. I'm going to recommend you speak with an attorney. And possibly the police. But I didn't need an attorney. I needed the truth. I needed to meet the man who'd been watching my daughter for 5 years. The man who claimed to be her real father. The man my wife had chosen before she even met me. The next note arrived 2 days later. I know you know now. I know your wife told you. If you want answers, meet me. Lincoln Park. The bench by the duck pond. Saturday at 2 p.m. I'll be waiting. I owe you an explanation. Connor. Connor. The donor had a name. I showed Sarah the note. Are you going to go? She asked quietly. Are you serious? Of course I'm going. This man has been stalking our family for 5 years. He knows our daughter. He's been watching her grow up. And you're asking if I'm going? He's not dangerous. David, how do you know that? Because I know him. You keep saying that. Who is he? Sarah took a shaky breath. He's my ex-fiancé. I stared at her. What? Before I met you, we were engaged. For 2 years. We were going to get married. And then, he got sick. Testicular cancer. He survived, but the treatment left him sterile. He couldn't have biological children anymore. So, you left him? No, he left me. He said he couldn't give me the family I wanted. He broke off the engagement, disappeared. I didn't hear from him for 3 years. Until when? Until you and I were trying to get pregnant. And failing. It clicked. You reached out to him. I ran into him. At a coffee shop. By accident. We talked. I told him we were struggling with fertility. He told me he'd banked sperm before his cancer treatment. Before he became sterile. And you asked him to be our donor. He offered. He said if I wanted children and his sperm could help, he'd do it. For me. For you. Not for us. For you. For both of us. You wanted a child too. But I thought it was an anonymous donor. I thought we'd never know who he was. I thought, my voice broke. I thought Emma was as much mine as anyone's. She is yours, David. You're her father. You're the one who's been there every day. You're the one she calls Daddy. But she calls me Daddy because she doesn't know the truth. She doesn't know that her real father is the man who's been leaving notes. The man who's been watching her through windows. The man you chose to father your child, while lying to me about who he was. Sarah was sobbing now. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the definition of lying. Sarah. Saturday. 2 p.m. Lincoln Park. I arrived early. Sat on a different bench. Watched the duck pond bench from a distance. At exactly 2 p.m., a man arrived. Tall, dark hair, fit, maybe 40 years old. He sat down on the bench, pulled out his phone, looked around nervously. I walked over. Connor? He looked up. Relief flooded his face. David, thank you for coming. I sat down. Kept distance between us. Start talking. I know you must hate me. I don't know you well enough to hate you. But I'm getting there. He nodded. Fair. Okay. Where do I start? Start with why you've been stalking my family for 5 years. I wasn't stalking. I was watching. There's a difference. No, there isn't. David, when Sarah came to me asking for help getting pregnant, I said yes, because I loved her, past tense. And I wanted her to be happy. So you donated sperm. Yes. But I didn't agree to be anonymous. Sarah said. Sarah lied. To both of us. She told me you knew who I was. She told me you were okay with it. She said once the baby was born, we'd figure out some kind of arrangement where I could be part of Emma's life, not as a father, just as, I don't know, a family friend, someone who could watch her grow up. But that's not what happened. No. After Emma was born, Sarah stopped returning my calls. Changed her number. I went to the house once. She threatened to call the police. So you started leaving notes. I started leaving notes because I was desperate. Because I'd helped create a life, and then been completely shut out of it. Because every time I saw Emma, and yes, I watched from a distance, I admit that every time I saw her, I saw a piece of myself that I'd never get to know. You had no right. I had every right. His voice rose. That's my biological daughter, David. My DNA. My genetic legacy. The only biological child I'll ever have, because cancer took that away from me. But you agreed to donate. You agreed to let someone else be her father. I agreed to co-parent. Or at least to know her. I never agreed to be erased. We sat in silence. Why now? I finally asked. Why reveal yourself, after 5 years? Connor pulled out his phone, showed me a medical report. Because I'm dying, the cancer came back. Stage 4, metastatic, 6 months, maybe less. My stomach dropped. I'm dying, David. And before I go, I need Emma to know I existed. I need her to know that somewhere out there, There was a man who helped give her life, who watched her grow up, who loved her from a distance. She's 5 years old. She won't understand. Then I'll write her a letter to read when she's older, when she can understand. And if I say no, then I'll die knowing I tried, and Emma will grow up never knowing half of where she came from. I went home, told Sarah everything. She collapsed, literally fell to the floor, sobbing. I messed up, she kept saying. I messed up so bad. You didn't mess up, Sarah. You orchestrated. You manipulated. You lied to both of us, so you could have exactly what you wanted, a baby with the man you loved, raised by the man you married. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You wanted Connor's genetics and my money and stability. You wanted his DNA and my fatherhood. And you didn't care who got hurt, as long as you got your perfect child. She couldn't even argue. Because it was true. He's dying, I said. What? Connor. The cancer came back. He has 6 months. Sarah's face crumpled. Oh God. He wants to meet Emma. Before he dies. Absolutely not. Why? Because then she'd know the truth? Because then your lie would be exposed? Because she's 5. She can't handle this. Then when, Sarah? When can she handle learning that the man she thinks is her father isn't? That the man who actually contributed half her DNA is a stranger who's been watching her for her entire life? Sarah had no answer. I made a decision. I met with Connor again. This time at a lawyer's office. We drafted an agreement. Connor would get to meet Emma. Once. Supervised. He'd explain who he was, not as daddy, but as someone special who helped bring her into the world. He'd give her a letter, to be opened when she turns 18. He'd waive all parental rights, legally, permanently, and I'd remain her father in every way that mattered. The meeting happened last week. Emma met Connor at a park. Sarah and I were there. So was a family therapist. Connor was gentle, kind. He brought a gift, a stuffed duck, because he'd watched her feed the ducks for years. Emma, he said, my name is Connor. I'm a friend of your mom's. A very old friend. Emma looked at him skeptically. Do I know you? No. But I know you. I've known about you since before you were born. How? Because I helped your mom and dad have you. I gave them something very special that helped create you. Emma looked at me. Daddy? I nodded. It's true, princess. Connor helped us. And he wanted to meet you before he goes away. Where are you going? Emma asked Connor. Somewhere far away, he said, his voice cracked. But before I go, I wanted you to know that you're the most amazing thing I've ever been part of. And even though I won't be around, I'll always be watching over you. Emma hugged him. Connor broke down crying. And Sarah and I watched as the man who'd been a ghost for 5 years finally became real to the daughter he'd never stopped loving. Connor died 3 weeks ago. He left Emma a trust fund, his entire estate, almost $500,000, for college, for her future. He also left the letter, sealed, with instructions to give it to her on her 18th birthday. I don't know what it says. I won't read it. That's between Connor and Emma. But I keep it in a safe, waiting. Sarah and I are in therapy. Our marriage barely survived. Some days, I'm not sure it will. But Emma is okay. She talks about Mr. Connor. Sometimes. Asks when he's coming back. We tell her he's in heaven now, watching over her. She seems satisfied with that. The notes stopped the day Connor met Emma. For the first time in 5 years, there's nothing at my doorstep, and I don't know if I'm relieved or sad. People ask me if I regret it. Letting Connor meet Emma. Letting him into our lives after everything. And here's what I tell them. Connor was dying. He had 6 months. And the only thing he wanted was to meet the child he helped create. How could I say no to that? Was he wrong to watch her for 5 years? Yes. Absolutely. Was Sarah wrong to lie to both of us? Yes, unforgivably. Was I wrong to let a dying man have one moment with his biological daughter? I don't think so. Because here's what I learned from all this. Biology is complicated. Fatherhood is complicated. Love is complicated. Connor gave Emma her DNA. I gave Emma her childhood. Sarah gave Emma life. We all played a part, whether we wanted to or not. And now Emma has a trust fund, a letter waiting for her 18th birthday, and two fathers, one who raised her and one who loved her from the shadows. Is that fair? I don't know, but it's the truth. And after 5 years of notes, lies, and secrets, the truth is all we have left. If you're dealing with a secret that's tearing your family apart, tell the truth now, before it becomes notes at your doorstep, before it becomes a dying man's last wish, before it becomes a 5-year nightmare that destroys everything. Tell the truth. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because secrets don't protect people. They just delay the pain. And delayed pain is always, always worse. Connor left Emma one final note. I found it in his estate paperwork. It said, Emma, by the time you read this, you'll be 18. Old enough to understand. I'm your biological father. But David is your real father. He's the one who raised you, loved you. I just gave you DNA. He gave you everything else. Don't be angry at your mom. She did what she thought was best. Don't be angry at David. He gave you the childhood I couldn't. And don't be angry at me. I loved you the only way I could. From a distance. Always watching. Always proud. I hope you have an amazing life. You already had an amazing first 5 years. I saw every moment. Connor, that note is in the safe too. Waiting. And someday, Emma will read it and decide for herself what she thinks about the man who left notes at our door for 5 years. The man who claimed to be her real father. The man who died loving her from the shadows. Until then, I'm her dad. The only dad she knows. And I'll keep being her dad until the day I die. Because that's what fathers do. They show up. They stay. They love. Even when the truth is complicated. Even when the biology is wrong. Even when notes at the doorstep threaten to tear everything apart. They just stay. Hit that subscribe button if this story made you think about what it really means to be a father. Share it with someone who needs to hear that truth is always better than secrets. And comment below, would you have let Connor meet Emma? Or would you have kept him away? I read every comment. And I'm still not sure I made the right choice. But I made the choice I could live with. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Thanks for listening.